Cool.
And wake up.
Log in. Yeah, and then, yeah, you're live.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the meeting of the Madera County Arts Authority Board of Directors. We welcome our guests today and our board members. I'd like to call the meeting to order and see if there are any additions to the agenda.
No, Madam Chairman, no additions.
Okay, now let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. And Mrs. Gallegos, would you lead us in the pledge today?
Ready? Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This is the pledge of Madera County right here.
The public comment section. This first 15 minutes of the meeting is set aside for members of the public to address the board for items not appearing on the agenda. The board will not take action on the items presented under public comment. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. Anyone addressing the board is asked to print their name clear. I don't know if you have to do that. You can state your name clearly. Oh, is it up there? Okay. Print your name clearly on the speaker sheet at the podium. State your name and county of residence for the record. So we have Mr. Nishimoto here today.
Wally Nishimoto, Madera, California. I'm here today to represent the...
I think your mic is.
There we go. All right, sorry. I'm here today representing the Madera Evening Lions Club, and I know it's a little bit outside of your boundary, but it kind of meets the goals of your committee. The one of Lions Club's international projects and goals is reaching out to youth, and one project is the International Peace Poster Contest. So the Peace Poster Contest reaches out to children ages 11, 12, and 13. And we've tried to push this project in the past, but it's hard to get cooperation from the teachers of that grade level to participate, to bring students into the project to participate and encourage their students to get involved. And so we thought if we come to your board and committee that you'd be able to use your various contacts and help us to reach out, either through activities at the Art Council or directly through schools or through Parks and Rec. The judging period is, believe the deadline is November 1st. And the theme this year is Journey of Peace. And the Lions Club will be selecting a winner from Madera, and we will submit that to the state, and then the winner of that would go to Lions Club International. Then I think that's about it. Thank you very much.
Do you have information?
Yes, I do.
What grade level?
I'm sorry?
What grade level?
It's 11, 12, and 13, so that would be 6th, 7th, and 8th, depending on this when they enter school.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you.
So perhaps this is something we could take back to our agency people and see if there's any place where they'd like to send it out to the schools and promote it.
Maybe it's be in an after-school program.
Mhm.
I'll take it to the
I'm going to take it.
superintendent because we've got a lot of things we're trying to get done,
Right.
education-wise, and if
Uh-huh.
it'll fit in or not, I don't know. The after-school program would be my
I can take that through the Arts Council, because we provide the arts in the after-school program, so I can do that.
I can do Parks and Rec for the city of Madera.
I appreciate it very much. Thank you very much.
Good, thank you.
That was a great time.
Okay, perfect. Under public session, item 4A is approval of the minutes. Consideration of approval of the minutes of the June 24th meeting. You have those in your packet. Is there a motion for approval?
So move.
Second? Is there a second?
I wasn't here, so I'll just watch.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Item number 4B. We have a new representative coming to us from Madera Unified School District. Mr. Arredondo, who was the representative, has resigned his position on the Madera Unified School Board. So that takes us to the alternate one in the process from Madera Unified School Board, and that's Mr. Ray Seibert. He's currently the first alternate. And the second alternate, I might say, is here today as well, and that's Brent in the back. So what the board needs to do now is officially bring him on as now the official representative, and that'll move Brent up to the first alternate. Okay. So, Mr. Seibert,
Yes.
were you selected by your board members to become the representative at the last board meeting? Say yes.
It gets a little bit harder as we go on.
Yes, at the last board meeting, your board reviewed committee assignments with the change.
Did we bring it up? Was it?
We reviewed the committee reassignments.
We reviewed it, we didn't talk about it a lot, but I guess it was adopted, huh?
All reassignments.
Okay, yes.
Yes, or okay. Okay, then we're going to have the oath of office for you, and I think our clerk will do the oath of office. So would you like to stand up and be sworn in?
Okay.
Stand up.
So, I state your name,
I, Ray Seibert,
do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States,
and the Constitution of the State of California
the Constitution of the State of California,
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic.
that I will bear true faith
I will bear true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United
to
States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California.
that I take this obligation freely
I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservations
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion.
and that I will well and faithfully
I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
upon which I am about to enter.
which I am about to enter.
Congratulations, Mr. Seibert.
Another job.
I'm so looking forward to working with you again, as I told the board the other night. We're just going to put in a little reminder to you, and we'll send something to Gladys, that when you do your annual board assignments at the December meeting, that would be a good time to select your new second alternate. And that's a good reminder to everybody.
Oh, we're not doing that today? Is that, I was reading in the minutes that you wanted one today?
No, we don't need it today. When,
Okay, so we're gonna bring Joanna.
oh, okay. Has she been, she has to be approved by the,
Yeah,
okay, has she been approved by the board?
I guess we gotta vote on her now.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll vote on her.
okay.
Okay.
Then we'll have her up and running. Okay.
All right.
I didn't get there.
You for that in your agenda.
Right. She didn't, I didn't get to Mrs. Dybert in time to get it included in the packet for your last meeting, so. Okay, so we'll get her approved. Okay, great. Now, Mr. Arredondo held the seat of vice chairman and chairperson for the board, and, oh, shoot, okay. I need public comment on this,
Actually, the one with the selection of
oh,
member Seibert.
I should have had that before I was sworn in.
That's okay. Public comment on that item,
Okay. Okay, and then, is there any
ceremonial, so.
public comment on the selection of Mr. Seibert as the representative from Madera Unified? Okay, seeing none, we're done. Okay, discussion, we haven't had a meeting since June, so I'm rusty again. I was just kidding. Okay, now discussion and consideration of appointment of chairperson from among the board members of the Arts Authority. Mr. Arredondo was the chair, that was the vice chairperson for the group. And now that he is gone, we need a new vice chairperson. The duties are not large. It is to run the meeting in the absence of the chairperson. Should I take nominations for that position first and then ask for public comment?
Well, before you vote, it's best to go out for public comment, but you can have the discussion with the board, and then once you've come to a consensus, before you come to a vote, it'd be appropriate to take it to public comment.
Okay. So what's the pleasure of the board?
I'll nominate Cece Foley Gallegos.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
And you agree? Very good, okay. We've had, are there any other nominations?
I move that nominations be closed.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, so we have a selection in front of us. Is there public comment on the selection of the vice chairperson? Seeing none, I'll turn it back to the board and ask for, do I need a motion to approve or do?
Pardon me, you've got
No,
two motions.
Okay, I got it.
So
So to close the nominations?
Need a second on those motions, and then you can vote.
Okay, so we have a nomination from the floor for Cece Gallegos. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And motion carried. Is there a motion to close the nomination? Oh, I already,
that's kind of moot, so you can
Yeah.
just
okay,
I think we done
abandon
really
that.
good.
Yep.
okay.
Close enough for me.
Okay, congratulations. I think you are now the vice chairperson.
Thank you.
Okay, now, so the next item is discussion on the progress towards the agency contributions to the Arts Authority in the 1919-20 budget. When last we left this topic, the Board of Supervisors had approved their contribution. The city and the school district were going to have presentations about it and make some determination about where they were. So could we hear from the city and the school district about where you are in that process at this point?
The city is still looking at our budget. We came with just a very vague of what's happening. Our finance director has exited the city, so it put us in a crunch on numbers and what they were proposing. So we really haven't gotten the full scale of that, but once we get, our city manager gets a hold on that budget, we feel we'll have more ability to give you what we can, and then if we can get over a yes or no
Okay.
at this time.
How far out are we looking? Are we a month away, 10 months away? Or do you have any sense of that?
He didn't say,
Okay,
he didn't say.
okay. Great. And the school district?
We have it on our agenda for tomorrow night to be voted on. Did a presentation. I would like to know a little bit more of the consultant, what, that you picked, all the areas that he'll get into.
That's going to be the next item
Okay.
for discussion today, yeah. Okay. I have the sense from the school district that the school district is pretty
I
close.
think it was pretty positive.
So maybe we should be thinking about, if we have two of the three, can we begin to do some planning for the future? And can we start with the two, knowing that the third one still is going to need more time? Or should we be waiting until we get all three of the commitments before we start asking for the actual dollars?
Well, there was a suggestion 2 or 3 months ago, and Tina, correct me if I'm wrong, that the Arts Council was able and willing to kick in $25,000 too. Yes, no, maybe so?
I can address that.
Okay.
Yes, the investment committee and the board of the Arts Council approved last year $25,000 to put into the startup funds for the Arts Authority. We didn't actually cut the check because we didn't have a checking account to put it into by the end of June. We now have a checking account. So I believe that the investment committee will be going back to the board of the Arts Council to clarify that we are still ready to I'm sitting back here, you can't hear. That the Arts Council is still willing to begin to contribute money to the organization.
So that would be 3 out of 4, and to follow your line of thought, I'd be willing to move forward when we have 3 out of 4, as opposed to 4 out of 4, with the hopes that the fourth one comes in line soon after we receive the first 3 contributions. And when I say 3, I'm assuming, Mr. Poitras can correct me if I'm wrong, that the county's commitment is if the others step up, then the county will too, and I'm assuming that if the Arts Council and the school district do it, then that would be close enough for government to work for the time being?
Certainly.
Okay.
Does that sound okay to everybody? If we get approval from Madera Unified School Board, we have approval from the county already, the Arts Council comes forward, we have enough money to get ourselves started.
I think it's important to do so. I mean, it's like been a year since this JPA's been formed, and we're now to the point where we're talking about money getting into the account where we can actually start moving some things forward. So I think it's imperative.
Okay.
Unless we just want to keep coming to meetings.
No,
Ray can show up at 4:30.
I was looking forward to a new beginning.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, then I wanted to clarify that before we go to the next item, because the next item is for us to begin discussion of this position of a coordinator or consultant, however we want to call that, and some beginning discussion about what we are going to want the scope of that work to be for that consultant. So I sent to you in the packet the report that, okay, maybe everybody doesn't know about this because I know Mr. Seibert for sure is new. But back in June, on June 12th, we had a presentation and workshop by John Query. Mr. Seibert, were you at that? I can't remember. I know Brent was there, but I can't remember if you were there. Okay, but anyway, we asked him, as someone who knows about this kind of work, if he would give us some background about what in the world we might be looking at in terms of a future and how we could plot our plan forward. He presented us with this little written document that's in your packet. He talked about 3 areas of focus. The first area of vision and operations. And he suggested that we already had a vision and we're beginning to think about how we could grow our operations at the Arts Council and begin to grow into new facilities. So he thought that was going pretty well for us. But the second area, which is the area of physical environment, talks about planning for the bigger revitalization efforts downtown. We had the architects develop a DOMA architectural plan for what all of that might look like. That has not been approved by city or county agencies, so it's not officially part of a general plan yet. So those are ideas that I know the city and the county are using, but we haven't really risen to the level of general plan. And there's lots of infrastructure work that will need to take place and be thought about as we move those revitalization and infrastructure efforts forward. And then the third major area is funding and financing. We have done nothing in this area, but it's going to require quite a few options to be available to us for grants, campaigns, things like opportunity zone funding. There's lots of things out there that we are going to need to be looking at. So finance and funding is going to be a major issue as well. So that's what he said to us, and he suggested that we look at bringing in someone part-time, half-time. He thought that was plenty for the year, and that person, as it says in our notes, would be up to half-time professional to act as project coordinator to assist the board in establishing the path to project completion. Begin the process of funding the work necessary to carry the project forward and provide quarterly reports to the agency boards. So I'd like us to begin to talk about maybe some more specifics about what that consultant might be doing, because if we're going to ask people to come and talk to us about what they might do, we should have a pretty good idea of what we're looking at. So that's all I know.
Madam Chair, as far as a consultant goes, I think what I'm looking for is somebody who is going to speak the truth in terms of what we're looking at and what it's going to take to get there, to talk about what is feasible, what's not feasible. Now, I don't expect, a feasibility study costs a lot of money, but at least up front, anybody who's a consultant who we'd want to hire, I'd want them to take a look and see what we've got and say, this is great, and I think it really is feasible, or, what are you guys thinking? And then to say, okay, if you don't agree with what we're doing, what should we be doing? What is realistic? And how do we get there? And so, I'd be looking for somebody who has that experience, who's just not looking to guide us down a path that, there's really no end or no conclusion or no positive conclusion, but something that would that is feasible, that would work for us. So I guess I'm looking for somebody that's experienced and has a really good track record.
I can't disagree with that. Question, do we have to put this out for people to apply to?
So, Madam Chair, members of the board, that really depends on where the money comes from. So if it comes from a public agency, then the bidding or the RFP, the bidding process most likely applies. If the money that is going to be used comes from a private entity, then it's a little bit different. But because this is a JPA where the powers actually come with the members of those local agencies, and generally those laws also come. So in this case, it just depends on where the money comes from. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
And since it would be combined, then yes, we would have to, it'd be a lot harder to directly contract for this consultant without going through a process. But if it's under a certain amount, then we might be, we're always creative on the legal side of the house. Not illegal, but creative. And so this might be one where we don't want any fly-by-night consultant. The way that we get around that, if it's like lawyers, if it's a specialty and you need just not a fly-by-night consultant, then we're able to select based on qualifications rather than the cheapest consultant and something like that. So we're able to control it to the extent permitted, but because it's public dollars, then we have to be careful about it.
So we actually have to have a formal job description which would detail our expectations as we've started to talk about, plus the fact that it's of a part-time nature, and put a dollar amount on it, and then put it out publicly and hopefully attract somebody to respond to it.
I don't think so. I think because it's a consultant with a specialty that will be doing these three things, that we can not put it out in that manner. And so, but I can confirm by our next meeting. I think that we can limit it because it's a specialized service.
Okay.
My understanding is our city manager now has experience in this,
Yes.
and so he'd be a really good resource, I mean, to lead this for us. You've gone through this in Fresno, right?
Yes, he was in Fresno, right?
Right, and I think he was part of what, the downtown revitalization and everything?
He was.
So, he'd probably our best resource here, because he's got experience, knows what to look for, knows, can give us some direction on maybe selecting a consultant.
Well, from the meeting, Board Member Seibert, John also had quite a few consultants that he's worked for with these types of projects that he knew that would be like a firecracker to get us going on this. He had a few names, and he could send out that RFP if we were to draw one. One thing I'm really looking at for, I know this person's part-time, but someone that would go out and not write the grants, but go out and see if there's grants available for this type of project. And looking for some sponsorships, some maybe not so small, but anything will help. But get the word out there that this is gonna be, something that everybody in the city and the county that's gonna have to contribute to make this a go.
So if I'm hearing that right, you're talking about companies or people that might be willing to kick in at the beginning some cash to help us get started, be our early contribitors. Yeah. And then to help us begin to search for grants. Because each agency has grant writers. If grants become available, we actually have staff people that can do that kind of stuff.
Well, Mr. Queryman, when he was here on the 12th of June, named somebody who was extensively experienced, who I understood to be mostly retired, who, in his opinion, would be right up our alley. I don't have his name in front of me.
I don't either, but he gave me 1, 2, 3 names of people who do this kind of work and are local.
Local meaning the Central Valley?
Yes, one was extensive work with United Way. This other person was with fundraising professionals, Community Medical Centers Foundation. Another one with Boys and Girls Club, Pavarello House. Oh, here's a fourth one. Engineering Bulldog Foundation, that kind of stuff at Fresno State. So, and one of those is the one he mentioned at the meeting. But he has a couple. But I think if we have to go to bid, we have to put out a bid then, or a request for proposals, I'm sorry, then it would go out to a broader audience. And we wouldn't be able to pick before we had the RFP go out.
Well, I think we can afford to wait one more month to see how narrow we can focus our.
I'll send out an email communication to you. You won't have to wait the month.
Okay.
Are we talking about a consultant or an employee?
Consultant,
Just a consultant, so not this half-time person that would be
a half-time consultant.
half-time consultant. Got it.
So it'd be a number of hours
Yeah.
that we would be looking for.
We don't want to confuse this with Uber and employees. et cetera.
Yeah, the new law, yeah.
And we usually don't
It's
have
an
to do an
employee.
RSP for a consultant. We hire a contractor to build something. But for a consultant, we normally don't have to do.
Can you lean closer to the microphone? You have the same problem as I.
Yeah. I'm comfortable sitting back. On a consultant, do you need to do an RSP on a consultant?
Confident you're not going to have to fly it. It'd be the same as when we hire an engineer. It's just because the money's being commingled and it comes from public agencies, I'm going to be extra careful to double check it.
Appreciate it.
I mean, if we're gonna pick a consultant, I'd be comfortable if Bernardo was part of that selection committee.
Okay. Okay, other thoughts?
Yeah, I'll just bring up, we're looking at doing a new district office. I don't know when that'll happen. We got a plan for it, And we're renting, I think I told you before, buildings all over town. So I'm trying to figure out what that, the rent we're paying now, what that would generate for a loan to build it, help build a district office. So we're looking at, we have Ketchel looking at different options, maybe a 50-acre site or downtown. And I would prefer if it was feasible, we could go downtown. Now, if there's grant money to help make that feasible or what, I don't know, because I'm not in that arena. But I think it would be a plus for downtown if we did locate downtown. So, I mean, I would like to have conversations with the city council, with our school district, and maybe later on, if it looks like it'd be feasible, and work together. I mean, I have a lot of different thoughts. I mean, if we did a district office downtown, over the years, our needs expand. So maybe we build it big enough to where maybe the city rents some space from us for a while to help them out, and then later on, they build their own facility as we grow. I mean, there's just a lot of different things you can talk about. But what we're trying to do in the school district right now is do a 5, 10, 15-year plans of things that we need to get done. And we're going to look at our facilities like Madera High School and see how long some of those facilities will last, and maybe some things that we need to do there. But we're looking at all of our facilities so we know what to plan for in the future.
I think this is a perfect time to have this conversation. Because as we were beginning to develop the architectural plans and thinking about the civic center area, there was talk about the school district and the city being a part of the building project. Because there's more opportunities for grants and things if you're a part of a civic center type project. And I know Mr. Fleming was talking to all of us about that early on. So I think having a consultant at this point helping us look at those possibilities is going to be a great boon for the big project.
It's all about leveraging resources.
Yeah. Well, we're going to be building 2 new elementary schools. They're going to be K-8s. And so we got to find sites where we're going to put those. And what would be advantageous for the district and also for the city to complete the city. I mean, you have areas that haven't been filled in. And so where we place a school is important on our population needs, where kids come from, but also maybe the infill, the infrastructure of the city. And so we need to meet and, have meetings like this and talk about what's the good for the whole.
Perfect.
Yep.
Thank you. What would be our timeline here? It looks like we have our account open, so we're ready to receive funds. And so we could start to invoice for those funds, okay, as soon as we get the school board on board. And then from that, I guess we could begin to then see what we have to do about hiring a consultant, and then begin to advertise and get one selected.
Well, we could probably start that process now in terms of what are the steps, so that so they're kind of on parallel tracks. You know, so when we get the money, it's not like then we say, okay, let's start talking about this. You know, we can start figuring out how to go out for that RFP or so, you know, we don't continue to languish.
Right. So we start amassing our money. We find out about the rules for hiring.
Then we need to probably set up a committee to select
Mhm.
the consultant. So how many people you want on that committee?
Well, it has to be an ad hoc committee, right, council?
Yes, and there's something in your bylaws that say you can establish one or more committees from time to time, and they should be comprised of representatives of the board, and exist for a term specified, and shall make recommendations to this board of directors. It should be ad hoc, and then it wouldn't be subject to the Brown Act. Yeah, and I feel just to circle back, I feel very confident you're not going to have to go out for a public bidding process for professional services. It's just, we had floated the idea a few meetings ago about it being an employee, because we were talking about a director with that clarification. But, so if you want to calendar that for further direction at the next meeting, or if you want me to provide you with that opinion and then start working on a consultant agreement, I can do that too, to just move it ahead. Maybe I'll do that.
How do you feel that she gets the answer to the question and then starts moving ahead?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to turn this out to the community now for community input. If you have comments, wish to address the board on this issue, please come forward to the podium, state your name and give your input.
Hello, my name's Kathleen Nishimoto, Madera County. I think that this project is a great project that our community needs. And I like that you guys are all looking at all options, because this city does not need to have something like what Fresno has done and build something too large and too grand to where it is not going to be a go. So my feeling is collaborating with all of the different and utilizing the schools so that all the schools can use it, city can use it, different venues using one common facility. We definitely want to be watching those items and very excited about the future plans for this. So, thank you.
Thank you. Others? Okay, I'll turn it back up here. Oh,
I see another.
oh, okay. Michelle?
I said another, isn't on Lost, wasn't that what they called the other people on the island, the others?
I never watched.
Oh, okay.
I'm Rochelle Noblet and live in Madera County. And I just, when Kathleen Nishimoto mentioned that we want all the schools to use it, Ray, you guys are building your own performing arts center at the new high school, is that correct?
Yes, it's right.
Okay, because I don't think that information is known throughout the community yet. I just had somebody come in to my office saying, what's this? I hear that the school district's building a performing arts center, and so I think that people need to be aware, because they felt like we were not being transparent. You know, they said that could have been a deal breaker to me. So that's something that I think that should be addressed. The other thing I think that it would behoove us before we get too far down the road is to talk to the people at the Modesto Performing Arts Center. It's the Gallo Center for the Performing Arts. Julie and I talked to the executive director there early on, about late 2016, and she had a lot of things to say, and I think that needs to be just updated. Maybe you guys could have a phone conference with her like Julie and I did. She was of the opinion that a 500-seat theater couldn't make money. She's got a 500-seat theater and a 1,000-seat theater, and she said when they had the 500 seats that the ticket prices would be too high if they got somebody that people wanted to see. So they started out with Hungarian folk dancers and nobody came. Then they went to Garth Brooks type things and they sell out the 1,000 seats. So that's something that I think we should all go in with our eyes open. She also mentioned that they have a $15 million endowment to cover the expenses, and they still have to fundraise. So $15 million is not enough to earn what they need to operate. So those are just things that before we jump in with both feet, I think that they need to be looked at.
Thank you. Yep.
Tina Unti, City Madera, Madera County. Going back to where your discussion started about the consultant, I think I couldn't hear everything. I'm sorry, I apologize, but I couldn't hear real well all of your discussion. But I think what you're talking about looking at in hiring a consultant is someone who is going to lead you down the paths that each of you have mentioned. And as far as coming up with whether or not this whole project is feasible, if you're looking at that part of it, and what you might have to do for fundraising, that's another part of it. You know, how is it going to fit into the general plan for the city of Madera? That's another part of it. So what you're looking at is not answers to those questions now, but for a person who can lead you in the right direction to get those answers before, in the end, you say you're going to go ahead with it.
I think that's absolutely right, for the same reasons that Mrs. Nishimoto and Mrs. Noblet suggested. You don't want to build something that doesn't make money, doesn't make a go of it. Fresno certainly had that experience. It's not good. It's better to start small and know where we're headed. So the project consultant can help us a lot with that. Go ahead. Oh, is there anybody else? Then I'll turn it back here. I'm having trouble with my Rosenberg's Rules of Order or whatever.
I wanted to respond with, you know, if the school district does go downtown, and then we should incorporate how we could use that facility, so we have to duplicate facilities. And same thing, maybe the county and city. We build something that we can all use and make it feasible because we're using it. So as we're planning, I think keep that in mind and see what we can do.
Well, you know, when the Arts Council used the $319,000 that the city, the county, and the school district kicked in and came up with some general ideas and some drawings and with public input, it wasn't just a performing arts center. It was more of a multi-use facility. So we don't have to look at bringing some nationally known artists to Madera, California to make this project ultimately financially feasible. Parts of the facility could be used for family reunions or weddings or something nicer than Hatfield Hall, which shouldn't be all that hard.
What?
Well, yeah, I know that disappoints you, Rob, but
Could we just say alternatives to Hatfield?
alternatives, yes.
They've got such great air conditioners now.
Yeah, really.
They do.
Yeah.
Yes, that is intended to have a variety of funding sources to go with it in terms of event space.
And I can see a 225 seat performing arts center at the new high school not being competition for what we're here to talk about, but something that'll be up and running much sooner than what we're here to talk about. And they can be used in a complementary fashion. Ultimately, the more the better as far as the number of venues, number of types of venues, because different venues attract people with different interests, and we could benefit from that diversity.
Just last week at the Arts Council Board meeting, we were talking about doing more with performing arts and beginning to build audiences for performances in Madera. And so it's unlikely we're going to be starting with performances for 1,000 unless we go to the fairgrounds. But if we had a venue that we could start smaller, we could begin to build audiences and begin to have little theater groups and things like that. And I think the new Torres High School is going to be perfect for that, because it's going to be 250 or something like that.
Not more than that.
Yeah.
Somewhere between 200 and 250.
Yeah, so we have because we couldn't think about a nice place to start. You know, do we go to a church or because there just aren't enough venues like that, so.
Yeah, well, in the beginning, we're looking at doing what do you call it, a black box.
Yes,
I said,
okay.
well, why do a black box? You know, well, we figured out how much more would it cost to do a theater, and it wasn't that much more.
Right.
As we're designing it and building it, so we went ahead and did it at the theater.
And we have a black box at Madera High,
Mm-hmm.
so we'd have a more variety of venues.
And, the kids at Madera High, when they put on a production, they can do it at the new high school. They do the practices in the black box, they do the practices at Madera South, and then when they want to do a production, they could utilize the new high school theater.
Okay. Other thoughts about that? I'm getting excited. There's opportunity here. Regina, how do we work together over the next month to
Well,
get going?
Madam Chairwoman, on the next agenda, we can add an action item for an ad hoc committee, if that's the board's desire. And so a truly ad hoc committee is less than a quorum. It can't have continuing subject matter jurisdiction. In other words, you have a project, and in this case, it'd be looking for a consultant. You can't make any decisions. They're all recommendations back to the board, and the last one is advisory, less than a quorum, and you can't set the meeting dates. So in other words, the committee just decides when it's going to meet. So as long as those 4 items are met, then it's truly an ad hoc committee. So my suggestion would be on your next agenda, if you want to go the committee process, then to appoint a committee, and I can have a consultant agreement drafted for that committee to begin reviewing, and they would come back with a recommendation to this board on how to move that process forward. And the timing might line up with getting the money into the checking account.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Now, the ad hoc committee, you said the makeup of it, it has to be part of these organizations that are part of the JPA?
2 members of our board,
Okay.
2, and then anybody else we want to have from the community. So you want Arnaldo Rodriguez, but then you
So he
would
qualifies.
request to appoint him. If there's somebody else, you want a staff person from the city or the county or the school district, you can do that.
But it can only be no more than 2 from this board.
Yeah.
I think we have somebody wishing to make public comment.
If I could,
Yes.
Mrs. Chairwoman, Eric Fleming, County Administrator. I was just going to offer up a suggestion. As administrators, we all get together on a regular basis. As a matter of fact, tonight, we meet at 5:30. Myself, Arnaldo, Todd, and Angel, actually, from State Center Community College District. But if your board would be interested in doing that, I think you could suggest that the administrators come up with some suggestions for maybe the approach, and maybe come with a list of recommended consultants. If you want to give that a first shot, because then we can come back with something at the next meeting. If you don't like what we come back with, you could kind of scrap it and go to maybe Plan B, which maybe is an ad hoc. Take it from there. Just see what we come up with. Just wanted to offer that up as a suggestion.
Questions about that?
Works for me.
Save some time, maybe.
These administrators, that they,
Yeah.
okay, well, okay, we'll give it a shot.
But Arnaldo's in that group, and
Right.
his name did come up, and he is very good at that stuff, so. Yep.
That's great.
I'll see him shortly here,
Perfect.
if your board's interested.
Okay. Okay, sounds like that's okay. Okay, any other things we need to consider? Okay, well, that was very interesting. I think we're getting to make progress here. In spite
Groundbreaking.
of me.
Monumental progress compared to the last 11 months.
Okay, do we have member and staff reports? Okay, then this meeting is adjourned. And, I wanted to say our next meeting will be October, where's my list?
Nothing in September?
September. I'm sorry, the last Monday in September. Thank you. Our next meeting will be September 23rd.
Farm out.
So, meeting adjourned.
Yeah, I've got a little room there between two other meetings.
Hey, there you go. All right. You got some blue.